Hey there, in this video I am showing you how to gradually take your client lighter from being dark safely. This is actually how to take a client darker gradually video. I had done her hair again going even darker and forgotten to record it. A few months ago she decided she wanted to go lighter again. So this is what we did before. This previous one was us going light again, and then this one right here for this video is how we took her even lighter. We are going to do this safely and cautiously. Right to you now, to your bottom right, you could subscribe to watch more videos. Do it now. I made it easy for you. And I am a licensed stylist, and anything I use in my videos are all professional products. To start, I want to do a lot of heavy lifting per se on the hair. I want to add a lot of brightness here this time. I begin underneath by just doing a weave here because when she pulls her hair up, I don't want to see like a big chunk. And it is okay to have some depth down there because naturally when the sun lightens your hair anyways, it doesn't get to the underneath, right? So if you want it to still look natural and pretty, leave a little bit of depth down there. Now on her new growth, I am using Flash Lift with 30 volume because I know her hair can handle it and we want to go pretty bright. I do run the lightener through the end sometimes where I want it to be brighter, but I do use a different formula. And I'm going to show you how I do that strategically. That way I'm not overlapping yet. You want to get the ones that have not been highlighted yet. I'll go through there, but that formula for the ends is Blonde Dimensions with 20 volume and Olaplex added. Now you see here to go ahead and add a lot of thicker panels, going through and lightening that up quite a bit. I'm just kind of balayaging pieces. I take like these triangles with my zigzag pattern. I haven't done a video with that on there in a while, so hey, I guess it's time, right? On the right side of that, I did the Flash Lift. Now on the ends here would be the Blonde Dimensions. I find that when I'm not trying to get too much of a harsh lift, I will go use the Blonde Dimensions. Flash Lift is a great lightener. However, it's pretty powerful, and I don't want it to be too powerful yet because remember, the ends have been highlighted, then darkened, then re-highlighted again. Some of them have been re-highlighted, and now we're trying to lighten more of them. And I'll go through and show you how I take the ones out that have already been highlighted. That way I can highlight more that have not been re-highlighted. By doing the strong zigzag parting, it's easier for me to take these small triangles out because I want to do a lot of blonde panels down here. If I wanted to do less, I would make the zigzag parting with less zigzags. But I want to do quite a bit, which doing that just easily gives me those triangles. Now see here how I'm going to go back in there and add some more. So here's some bigger ones. Now with this one, just kind of watch how I guess I don't need to explain it too much, but I'm just basically painting on the top of that section. I know I've done a video on these before, but the inner part of the triangle will be not colored, right? So the outside will all be colored. So if I do the top panel here and then maybe on the side, this one I don't know if maybe I don't do any more sides, but the ends are fully saturated and I make sure that I put pressure on there by using the board to get the ends all saturated. Now as I go through here, I left that section out, so now I know I want to have some brightness right there because she's pretty dark through here. That's why it's just a lot quicker than doing tons and tons and tons of foils. By painting here, it almost, with the panels on top, it'll look more like it's been a lot of baby highlights. We don't need it to be really chunky or anything like that. We just want to make it quite a bit brighter. That's our goal today. So by doing this was just a lot easier and a lot quicker. So when you're on a time crunch, which I wasn't, I just found this to be the best solution to our situation. So that's why I did it like this. But I have done this where somebody said, hey, do you have time for, just add some highlights? And I had a little bit of time and I just went through and just painted it on like this. Just being really careful that the lightener isn't too thin to where it seeps in, but not too thick where it dries out. But it ends up turning out really nice. I do this all the way up the back of the head, and then once I get to the top and the sides, I start changing it up a little bit and I will pop back on when I get to that part. So starting here, I do start weaving out highlights. And when you see these highlights right there that have already been highlighted last time, I want to weave those out. And by weaving them out and putting them aside, I can then take the brown ones that are left in there and highlight those. That is a really easy way to not have to overlap. Just take your time. It does take time, but do it because you'll have less breakage. Again, here you'll see me taking out those pieces that have already been re-highlighted. Don't want to overlap those. There's no point. Even though the lightener is weaker by now, and there's Olaplex in it, it doesn't take that much extra time, but it ensures your client's hair to stay healthy as possible. You know, in the long run, it'll be the best thing for you, especially people who want to change their mind. I don't think she'll change her mind again. She did the dark. She liked it. It was fun. She wants to stay blonde now, so she won't be going darker again. And even if she wants to, I told her she'd have to wait for all her hair to grow out because I will not take her darker again knowing how much she likes to be blonde. But this is a really simple way to not have to, you can just grab the pieces that you want. You don't have to weave out only the ones that you had highlighted before, or try to weave out the ones you haven't highlighted before because you maybe don't want it to be all uniform. You want it to be more natural. And highlights don't look natural when they're perfectly uniform. And right here in her crown, it's too dark. It'll split there. So I don't want it to be that dark, but I don't want to put 10 million foils in it. So I'm just going to take that big panel there and naturally pull it up, fan it up to the root. So go ahead and just watch me do this if you want, or I will be popping back on here in a little bit. Now, let's make her really blonde around the face. This is the part I do spend a lot of time concentrating on. I did a really fine weave around her face. You can call it the money piece if you want, but I'm not going to make it like a big chunk. However, I do want it to be a lot lighter there than anywhere else because I want it to stand out. So by doing back-to-back foils, fine weaved, I do this on the other side too. Her hair kind of comes to a point. It's just kind of heart shape. It's not too strong, but when you do the highlights around the face, you want to go along the hairline. And her hairline, since it comes to a point more, I do the highlights in either side of that, not just straight across in the front. Now, if somebody had more of a straight line, hairline, where it's perfectly around the face, then you can start in the front and go back. But you see how I'm kind of triangularly putting the foils in the shape of the section? It's because I want it, when she pulls it up or flips it on either side, because she goes either way, it'll be blonde on both sides, and you won't see that like a chunk of dark. You know, sometimes if you're just going straight back from the middle, you'll have dark on the edges. If by doing this, you get rid of that, and you'll still see it in the front also. And I want it to be brighter, going like see how wide that section is, that foil? That's how far back I want the really light part to be. So you see here, I'm starting to go back down the middle of the head. I'm gradually turning my foils as I go backwards. I'm not just automatically going to take a straight line between them. It's going to slightly start turning that way. But notice I did leave a section of hair down. That's the first time I skipped a section since I started doing the front, because it'll help make the first foils that I did do around the face pop out. Well, not the foils pop out, but the blonde pop out. You know what I mean. And by now I should add that I have refreshened my lightener. Even if you have a little bit left still, if it's been more than like 20 minutes, just go ahead and, especially if you know you're going to need more, which you should need more, you should have enough to last you about 20 minutes, then you should always refresh your lightener, because it does start getting weaker. And especially when you're trying to lighten hair pretty bright, you don't want it to get weak and then have to go through and reapply the pieces anywhere. You want it to be strong from the beginning, from first application. So after 20 minutes, as a rule of thumb for me, I want to make sure that I'm freshening that up, because I want it to be universally lightened around, all around. And I don't want any areas to be weak, because I want, especially when you're going pretty blonde. Okay, after applying all the foils, I go back to the back where I first started and check on and see how those are doing, and they look pretty good. I checked for elasticity, but apparently I erased that. Now I'm going in on the ends and balayaging some lightener. This is the Blonde Dimensions with 20 and Olaplex again, a fresh batch. And I'm just painting on some of the ends there to kind of break up and brighten that up a little bit. Now, I am not the kind of stylist that wants to get a client in and out of my chair as quick as possible, just because. But when you are trying to bring somebody pretty bright and you have to go a long ways, instead of doing a million trillion foils in 10 hours, if you just do a basic heavy foil, then go through in between and just, you can see how quickly, well, I know it's on fast forward, but this was fairly quick, painting lightener on the ends. Make sure you blend it up really well, and that just gives that appearance. Well, it is a lot lighter, but it's a lot quicker too, and it's more natural looking, and it's a great way to just pop some brightness on those ends to make sure that the client does feel quite a bit brighter. Now, she left it pretty warm just because she does have some underlying pigment on there, but I did 9V, 9P, and a touch of 9GI because I find that adding that there is a beautiful iridescent color, and it's perfect to put on clients who you know have pretty porous hair, but you want to ash it out but not have it be too drabby. The gold iridescent is a gold violet. Use it. Try it out. After toning, I did Olaplex number 2 for 10 minutes. After that, I did a color extend and a extreme shot for moisture and protein. And remember, the bonds are where the moisture and protein live. That's why I did the Olaplex first. See how much more natural that looks and how much brighter it is from the before picture. It turned out amazing. She is so happy with it. I think we reached our goal, which we weren't sure if we're going to get there today or not, but we did. Well, thank you for watching this video. If you would like to see more and want to subscribe to my channel, I made it easy for you. It's right here, the bottom right. Thanks, and I'll be back soon.